All right, I believe we are live for the Spinnin Backfist MMA Show. It is Friday, June 24th, a Friday edition. I kind of like a Friday edition. Post weigh-ins, you get the scope of the scene. You know what fights are actually happening. You know what fights are going down. And we got a ton of fights to talk about. Ev and I, you can see the backgrounds are different. We're in Atlanta for PFL 5 tonight. We've been following Anthony Showtime Pettis around, which has been pretty fucking awesome. We can tell you guys about that in a bit. We got Bellator 282 tonight. We got UFC on Saturday. That's going to be a great card. I guess we should start with PFL since we're here. You could actually see, like, right behind me in my hotel room. It might be too bright. That down there is where they've been doing the early morning weigh-ins. Oh, there you can see it. That's where they did the weigh-ins this morning, or yesterday morning. So I could watch that from my hotel room. It was kind of sick. And then later on, Ev and I met up with Pettis, and we rode over to the ceremonial weigh-ins with him. Me, 2 camera guys, a driver, Ev, Duke Rufus, and Anthony Pettis. It was pretty fucking sick. We got a lot of stories out of them. It was like a 15-minute car ride. Ev and Pettis were talking about gambling and shit. And then we went, did the whole weigh-ins with Pettis. We did that face-off that you might have seen on the Spinnin Backfist Twitter. And then we rode back. It was sick. Pettis is a great guy, like he was on the podcast.
Yeah, no, I mean, oh, sorry, Ev, go ahead.
No, you're not going to say Pettis is the fucking man. One of the coolest guys ever. Me and him, he just started. He gambles every day like I do. We bet sports. We're big live casino guys. Also, I'm big fan of his jewelry. He stays in tons of gold and diamonds, which I'm a huge fan of. If I had money, I would also be dripped in gold and diamonds. Unfortunately, I do not because I choose to gamble instead. I don't have the funds to do both. but he's honestly just a super cool guy. Like him and his coach were telling stories about, like, his coach has been with him since he won, like, his WEC belt. His coach has been with him for literally since he was a kid. Like his coach also was coaching his brother Sergio. Like, he was the bantamweight champion, was in the UFC or bantamweight. They had stories for days. His coach is awesome. Pettis is awesome. We got some great stuff yesterday. I'm excited for the videos and stuff to come out. It's going to be awesome.
The videos are going to be great because we'll see him tonight too, and I think we're going to get an opportunity, like, pre and post fight, to kind of catch up with him, get his mentality, see where his head's at, and it's like cool being with him now, especially his, like, he's focused. There's like an intense energy over him, and he's like a nice guy and everything, but like he's like, no, I'm locked in. Like, even talking to him about his face-off, he's like, I fucking love the face-off. He's like, I fucking love looking in their eyes, seeing what they got. I asked him who the best face-off guy he ever faced off with was, and he said it was Jose Aldo. Although they never fought, that fight eventually got canceled. He was like, I looked in Jose Aldo's eyes, and I knew he'd been through some shit.
Yep, direct quote.
So, PFL tonight, for those who are not in Atlanta, we can watch it on ESPN Plus at 7, right? Or 6?
All right, I believe 5:30 or 6.
5:30 prelims, I think, and then 8 p.m. main card. They bumped them up.
Yeah.
They were supposed to be at 9, and then they bumped it up to 8. So I think like 8 to 11 is going to be the main card. It's a sick main card. You got Bruno, you got Anthony Pettis, you got a ton of good fighters. We've seen we've even seen like tons of UFC fighters here for either coaching or cornering. We saw Ross Pearson. There's the picture of Ev and John Jones. We saw John Jones in the lobby. Kind of crazy.
Robbie was petrified.
I was like, I hope he doesn't fucking recognize me. I don't think he did. I really, truly don't think he did. But he gave me like a little bit of a weird look where I was like, is that the look of like, is that fucking guy that's been talking shit about me for 5 years?
Yeah, we seen him. We came out. We had lunch with Loud Sean, and we came out into the hotel lobby, and John Jones was checking in, and I was like, I just seen him. I was like, I need to get a picture with the go. I have to. And then Robbie was like, oh, like, I don't know, like, I don't know if he likes me. I was like, why wouldn't he like you? He was like, you talked a lot of shit about him. Robbie was like, the most shit. He was like, I've slandered and poo-pooed his name for years. I was like, okay. I was like,
by him on every social media.
I was like, well, I haven't. So I was like, would really like a photo.
I think he's there.
Unfortunately, where we caught him, there was some tough lighting, but it's all good.
Yeah,
you can tell it's him.
Who is he here to corner? We didn't know.
Maurice Green, I think.
That's who. Guy. That's who he was with in the lobby, so that makes sense.
Oh, Maurice,
that's what I guess.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah. He's actually a huge underdog too. He's a massive underdog.
Juan Adams is on it too.
Juan Adams.
Yep, Juan
We
Adams.
saw
is
Juan
fine.
That's why
Adams.
Greg Hardy, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
We saw him around the lobby. We saw everyone.
Everything looks great down there. What you guys are in the same hotel or different hotels?
Same hotel.
Yep.
Nice. Yeah, we
Same
the
hotel
John
with all the
Jones
fighters
crew
and
was
everything. We're in
sick.
the CNN headquarters.
Oh, okay, cool.
Fucked
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
We're inside the CNN headquarters.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they're located in Atlanta. And how's the overtime stadium?
That's sick. That's like
Yeah.
really cool. On the outside, it looks like an aircraft hangar or something. Like you would never expect it. And then you go on the inside. The basketball part is so awesome. Like it looks like it could be like the practice facility for the fucking Nets or something.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
then the MMA side looks like something out of a movie with the lights, the screens, everything. It looks like you would see that in like the scene of the MMA scene in the movie.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I kept up with just because Overtime Elite, they have some great basketball players over there, and they're in the off season now. But that I saw a bunch of like highlights and stuff on Instagram, TikTok, whatnot from that stadium. And I'm really interested to see it from a different perspective tonight, and it should be a lot of fun. I mean, there's a lot of great guys on this card. I'm blanking on his name, but
Picture the basketball part.
Yeah. It's sick.
So sick.
The Overtime Elite is, I mean, it's really changing like high school sports as a whole. So not to make this podcast about high school basketball, but really cool down in Atlanta. Who's the Brazilian heavyweight fighting?
Bruno Capalosa.
I mean,
yeah,
he's massive.
He's a behemoth of a man.
He's big, but who's really big is La Problema.
Yeah, La Problema is the guy I'm talking about. I saw PFL on Instagram.
He's a fucking monster.
He looks like he's from a different world.
He's so big. He has 85-inch reach.
That's
he's
crazy.
He's a fucking He like just seeing him in person. He's a monster. Absolute monster.
He dwarfs everyone around him, including John Jones. He makes him look tiny.
Yeah, he makes like Bruno look small. It's crazy.
When I saw that earlier, I was in shock. But the best face-off was without a doubt you two going up against each other. When I saw that, because you sent the video and I didn't know what it was going to be. I thought it would just be like Showtime Pettis. It's like, oh, let's post this. And then like Ev and Robbie walked out. I was like, oh, this is awesome.
That was great.
So shout out PFL. I mean, really.
Yeah, they're giving us great access. Yeah, this whole like 2 days we've been here, it's been pretty unbelievable access to everything. It's like we ask to do something, they're like, fuck yeah, go do it. That's why we're here.
We saw our pal Don Davis, great guy.
Yep, we saw
awesome,
Don Davis. Yeah,
he actually pushed me into a wall yesterday on purpose. We're on that level of bros.
Yeah, just walk past.
He pushed me into a wall, and he was like cross-checked, Big Ev.
Did you? Did you secure a presenting sponsor for our podcast yet, or not?
I'm working on it.
Not yet.
We got serious legwork.
We got the credentials and everything.
We're at the point where we're like physically harming each other for fun.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty good. I think that's
awesome.
pretty good in the right direction.
What a weekend of fights we have upon us, though.
So tonight, obviously, tune in for that. You'll see me and Ev on the broadcast. They told us where you guys are sitting, you guys are going to be visible on the broadcast and everything. We're going to be able to go like back into Pettis' locker room and stuff and talk to him there and stuff. We have all access passes, literally all access to everything. Kind of sick. So tune in for PFL tonight. If you're listening to the podcast, it's a must-watch card.
Also crazy. Something I'm super excited about because I'm a big boxing fan. My dad's a huge boxing fan. I've been told we're sitting next to Evander Holyfield, which I'm very, very excited about. My dad's going to be like thrilled.
And what's the name too is who's sitting next to Holyfield?
Oh, Jermaine Dupri is going to be there also. For the hip hop fans out there from like the 90s, 2000s.
They do. I mean, PFL always has some celebs ringside, and now they have Evander Holyfield, which is like tier C, and then Robbie and Big Ev tier A.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just the heavyweight champion in the world, the guy who Mike Tyson bit his ear, and just the host of Spinning Backfist.
Yeah.
Where do you want to start? Do you want to start talking like some picks on the PFL card since we're already talking about it? Move on through that.
Yeah, maybe PFL and Bellator. Then we'll get to UFC.
Yeah. I like that. Any PFL picks that would surprise people? I know there's a lot of heavy favorites, heavy underdogs on this card. You guys have anything where you're looking at it and you're going, this actually may not be right as far as the odds makers are concerned?
So I had a couple that I circled. So a few of them like early on, I'm gonna stay away from. So one I did like was I know you're a big Lance Palmer guy, right, Robbie?
I love Lance Palmer. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I actually kind of like fading him in this fight. To be honest,
agree.
with you.
Damn.
He's fighting Shaman Ray, the guy I was talking about yesterday when we were at the weigh-ins.
Yeah.
I really like. I think the line actually is coming down, which I mean is kind of like it's the odds makers are probably agreeing with me. I wish I got a better number on it. It was
Palmer
like
130.
Palmer's 150. No, he was even higher though as of like yesterday. Mariah's was like 130 range. Now he's 112 on our book. But I do like him to win. I also in the fight right after. There's another one I was talking, which we saw. It's his name's. It's hard to pronounce. His name's Anti-Delija, or I'm probably butchering it, but he's a massive favorite. I wouldn't do the money line. I think he wins the fight pretty quickly. I like him, even though it's kind of some of these are some crazy numbers, but I will say that I think some of these in the heavyweights, like this is a heavyweight and featherweight card, you're getting some, I think, really, really big mismatches. This is just looking at them on the scale.
Yeah.
Like Graves hasn't fought in 3 years. He looks, I would never judge someone their weight. He looks a little chunky for a fighter. I know he also took it last minute. And Deja's like a legit like heavyweight contender in PFL. He's minus 250 by finish, and I know that like doesn't sound super appealing. He's minus even 167 by KO. I know that's not a number that sounds super appealing off the bat, but I really would be shocked if it went a different way, to be honest with you. So I would even lay like him inside the finish. If you want to go inside the distance, I really don't see him submitting. He could submit him, so I would say just lay the minus 250, but I think he should finish him no problem. I just think it's just a crazy mismatch.
Yeah. There was another fight on the card I was just looking at. Where is it now? Oh, Maurice Green is a huge underdog.
Yeah.
Maurice Green is like plus 470. That's crazy. He looked pretty locked in to me.
He didn't look terrible. He definitely didn't look bad on the scale for sure. The guy, I've seen Goltz fight. He is very good. He's a heavy puncher for sure.
I think if you're betting like Maurice Green by finish is plus 800. I don't think like that's a bad look. Like he's just funky, right? Like that's all he was known for in the UFC. If he can come out and do something like that in the PFL, I don't know how much cardio these guys have, but he's training in New Mexico now. I think with not under Jackson, or maybe it is Jackson Wink now that John is gone.
Albuquerque,
yeah, but I know for sure he's in Albuquerque. I think he'll be able to do pretty well. I mean, I don't think if you're looking for a big dog this weekend, I don't think Maurice Green's a terrible shot by any means.
Yeah.
The crochet boss.
Also, an interesting note about the Pettis fight that we were talking about. Pettis' opponent, Stevie Ray, needs a finish in this fight in the first like 2 rounds to even move on. Because of the PFL point system, like Pettis pretty much, I think he clinched his spot. Did he clinch his spot?
He's locked in the playoffs for sure. It's just if he won by finish, he'd probably be the number 1 seed.
Yeah. So that's like an interesting, we're going to have to watch Stevie Ray come out and he's going to be like headhunting pretty much because he needs a finish in the first 2 rounds to even survive in this fight. We were talking to Duke Rufus, Pettis' coach, about that too. And he said he's fought Stevie Ray before in terms of coaching Felder to a win over Stevie Ray.
Oh, yes.
So that's an interesting wrinkle to that fight as well. It's like the coach has already game planned correctly once. He's got the game plan down. And Pettis said he's like excited about the aspect of like him having to get a finish because he's like people are more likely to make mistakes if they're fighting with that urgency.
I feel like how much of a difference does it make if you have already prepared for a guy? Like we for UFC guys, like talking about like this past weekend, like Court McGee or Sean Brady faced Court McGee, and he's the teammate of Jeremiah Wells. Like how much of a big difference does it make, like fighter to fighter, if you've already had somebody in the camp face that guy? I think that's a huge I think that's a huge plus, a huge positive for this fight for Pettis for sure.
I also
He's
think
only
it does
minus-
something to the mindset of the opponent. Like, this coach has beat me before. Fuck.
Yeah, he's only minus 210 right now on the Barstool Sportsbook. We're talking Showtime Pettis, so like maybe even so. If we know that Stevie Ray has to get a finish, how do you approach betting Showtime?
I would think by decision, right?
Yeah.
Like he's gonna try to hold him off for as long as possible, drag it out.
Yeah.
Right. He can't
I
really
think
like
that's a good bet.
so Pettis by decision is plus 130 right now on the Barstool Sportsbook.
Yeah.
I don't think that's bad at all. That's pretty fair. This is a step up, I think, from Pettis's last guy for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, Stevie Ray's way more well known. He's a dude,
But Pettis is, I mean, the competition Pettis has fought in his
exactly
like this is a step up in competition in his PFL days, but not in terms of who
I was just saying from like last fight to this
Yeah,
fight.
yeah.
But correct.
We were just talking about that yesterday with him. Like, this is his 38th fight. His roster of opponents is insane. You could put it up there with the best ever. It's crazy.
He's fought Oliveira. He's fought like Diaz. Crazy. I think we talked about when we interviewed him. He's the only guy to submit Charles Oliveira and the only guy to knock out Wonderboy.
Yeah, he said that Wonderboy fight's his favorite fight of all time.
Yeah, I asked him if he had like kind of how he did the little like off the cage Superman punch to knock out Wonderboy. I asked him if he had trained that, and he kind of said like yes, but also kind of no at the same time. He kind of just reaction, but he did say that was his favorite fight ever.
That
because he called him out and Wonderboy accepted immediately. He was like, all right, I guess we're fighting Wonderboy.
Yeah,
that knockout still
unreal,
one of the best. It's just I remember watching it just in shock, like, oh my god, because Wonderboy was really dominating that fight, if I recall correctly. Yeah,
he was saying how like before he fought him, he didn't realize how big Wonderboy is and that he was huge.
Interesting.
So like very long. He was very surprised. He said how big he was once he was in there with him.
That's awesome. Yeah,
but I will say full disclosure, because we've kind of become friendly with Pettis, I've laid a responsible nuke on a money line.
Okay.
Out of pure loyalty and respect. So
I mean, if you're a PFL, if you're what do we call them? The spinnies?
Yep.
If you're a spinny, you gotta back Anthony Showtime Pettis tonight, like without a doubt.
Yeah, you have to.
Nothing against Stevie Ray, because we have friends in this business.
Yeah, I mean, we gotta keep up appearances. I also put a little sprinkle on him by submission as well.
Oh, nice.
It's plus like 550. I think I got 550 or 500. He got a submission in his last fight.
Not to move on quickly, but the main event, Bruno Capalosa is a minus 549 favorite. I don't think anyone's betting against him, right?
No.
Yeah, Bruno, we expect to do some work tonight.
But if you just look on the Barstool right now, winning round, Bruno Capalosa round 1 is minus 200, which that's unplayable.
That's hilarious.
So like, you might as well play Bruno Capalosa round 2 plus 400.
Yeah,
I don't hate that.
His opponent Scheifele, you just need to survive 5 minutes. That's it against like a dude that's like if he was fighting anywhere else, he'd probably be a 205er. Like he's like a natural 230 guy. So survive. That's all you would need.
It's easier said than done against Bruno.
Correct.
I will say in the face-off, that man is a fucking like he was probably the most like just locked in, like he just looked angry.
Easily the most intimidating face-off.
For sure, without question.
If we did have to do a PFL parlay, I think so. You would take Bruno
inside the business.
Let's just put one together.
Fair. Yeah.
And then, I mean, I think Pettis is fine as a bet on his own, but you could put him in there. Do we like Chris Wade? It's going up against.
I like Chris Wade in that fight.
Bashniak is an ex-UFC guy.
I like La Problema as well.
Yeah,
I think he should smoke.
That's Renan.
I really
minus
do.
450. Yeah.
Yeah, Renan, and then
Renan.
We also put in Dalia, the guy you're talking about, Dalia.
Yeah.
And then I mean, obviously, if you wanted to, you could put in Brendan Linane. He's minus 835.
Or
And you'd probably get a decent, like, if you wanted to play a parlay throughout the card and then put in some other bets as well. I think that's a probably good way to go about it, right?
We got the odds on the sports book. You could bet on the Barstool Sportsbook now.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, there's all the props are there. All the props, everything, like under rounds, under rounds, like just submissions, like knockouts, all that kind of stuff. Rounds.
Tune in, watch me, Ev, and Evander Holyfield enjoying the fights. That'll be the crowd. And also, if you're in the Atlanta area and you could get a ticket, we were talking about it yesterday. It's the setup is to the point where the last seat in the house would be like a $2,000 ticket at MSG. Like, you're right up on the cage with the last seat in the house. So if you're in it, come on down to the what's the arena called?
Overtime Elite
Arena. Overtime Elite Arena.
Overtime Elite. Yep.
OTE.
Yeah. Do you want to move on to Bellator now? We had two members of the Bellator card on the show earlier this week. I would recommend going back and checking out those interviews if you missed them earlier in the week. We had Johnny Eblin, who's going to be taking on Gegard Mousasi in the main event. We also had Danny Sabatello, who may be Bellator's newest, most electric personality. He's the Italian gangster, and that's exactly what his personality exudes, the Italian gangster.
Yeah, I mean, he pretty much enjoys making people bleed for a living. As that's what
he enjoys it a lot.
He said he was addicted to it, I believe, if I remember correctly.
No, he said it in his Instagram caption, and we asked him about it, and he was like, "No, yeah, that's not a work. That's a straight up. That's a shoot. Like I 100% am addicted to making people bleed." And he was like, on his Instagram captions, he was saying things such as, like, 3 days from now, I'm gonna have another man's blood on me. I was like, hey, yo, that's a little weird.
He's right, though. He's a minus 500 favorite against Higo. I mean, he's gonna get the work done in that. There's tons of good fights on this. Kat Zingano is on this card. Cody Law,
she's 41, right? Kat Zingano's like 41.
Yeah,
and she's minus 280 on the Barstool Sportsbook. Maybe her opponent's worth a little, not even a sprinkle, just like a bet. Underdog.
Brennan Ward back on this card, big favorite on that fight as well.
Magomedov, just the same name twice. I actually
like Magomedov.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Barzola is a really good fighter.
He is
ex UFC guy. Well, like he's an ex UFC guy. Coming to Bellator, he got an upset in his last fight for Bellator in his first fight for them. I still think Magomedov's gonna do work, but Barzola, that'll be a very good fight, very underrated.
I was gonna say the odds for that one are actually pretty close compared to the rest of the.
Magomedov was a massive favorite, and he lost to Rafion Stotts, who is a very good fighter. But he got up. That line probably made no sense. But I think this is a point where now you're almost getting Magomedov at, I think, a much cheap. Like I think if he had beat Stotts, he's probably minus 250, 300 at least for this fight. Correct. So I think you're getting a pretty good price on him, all things considered.
I like Aaron Jeffrey tonight for Bellator minus 177. That former CFFC champion, and then he lost on Dana White's Contender Series. But a very close fight. I forget who was against, but very good fighter. I think he's like up there caliber for any of the middleweights that we see right now. I think minus 177 is low for him, so I'll be taking that straight up.
I like that. That's the second fight of the night, I believe. That's early on. Yep. So make sure if you're tailing Lee, you get that in early. Lucas Brennan, super heavy favorite on this fight. The other heavy favorites, Tokov, super heavy favorite. Cody Law. You could put together a pretty damn good parlay for this as well. If you're looking down the whole card, you could put together a Bellator parlay full of favorites.
I actually my bad. I like Brent Primus as a dog as well. I don't hate a shot on him.
Oh yeah,
and he's plus on ours right now. He's plus 165. I don't think that's a terrible look for him right now. I think that's a good spot as a dog. Yeah, I don't hate it. I'm putting something on it.
He's former champ.
Yep.
In a weird fight. I was there for that fight when he
for sure
beat Chandler and he kind of deaded the nerve. But yeah, put some respect on Primus's name. And then do you want to move on to the UFC card?
Before we get there.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Jack.
How do we feel about the main event? I mean, obviously we had Johnny on.
Oh yeah.
Mousasi's pretty good too. I think I'm excited to watch it. I don't know how to like. I've heard both sides of argument. Who's going to win this fight? I'm interested to see it. I don't know. Like, I may just sit it out and enjoy it, but I want to hear your guys' opinions.
Did you guys hear how much weight Mousasi cut?
Like 24 pounds in a day or something?
Yeah, I
sure saw that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like like I think like the most like anybody cuts nowadays is like maybe like 8, maybe like 10, 12.
Yeah.
Like it's that's like crazy.
Danny Sabatello said he loved the weight cut. He was like, I love like coming in and just cutting. Well, not love the weight cut. He said the weight cut sucks, but he was like, I cut more than anybody. I would like to know what the actual number, like he'll step into the cages.
If it sounds like that, it'll be like 25 up, 25, 30 up.
I'm rooting for Johnny in the main event. Our guy, you come on a Spinnin Backfist show, you give us the time. I'll root for you. I'll ride for you. It's a tough fight against Gegard, though. Gegard, you could say, is like one of the best fighters Bellator's ever had in the history of their company. The UFC, if he was in the UFC right now, you don't know how well he would be doing there. Like, I feel like he would be doing really well.
Top 10 in the world, probably. That is like he's like a legitimate contender.
I will say though, we have a pretty special ability, not special, but if there's something about this show is when we interview fighters, they usually come in like probably not really knowing us. And they're kind of like, oh, this may be like every other media interview. But usually by the end, they start to like us. I think we saw that with Pettis. Obviously, now you guys are best friends. And I think Johnny at the start was like a little like feeling it out. And then by the end, I think he really liked us. So we like have a
realized it was just a conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So same with, what was the guy's name? Like one of our first shows. His daughter, unfortunately, like battles like
Cody Brundage.
Brundage, yeah, he was another one that was like he was awesome. So, well, I think if there's anything we can pat our backs on, I think there's something about the fighters. 10 minutes into the interview, start to like us.
yeah, they warm up a little bit. They're like, oh, these guys are they're chilling. Yeah. All right, the UFC card. We've got a big one. It's an Apex card, back to the Apex for fight night. That's got to feel like for the fighters almost a little bit like, oh, fuck. They all watched the UFC Austin card. They saw how crazy the finishes were with the crowd going nuts and everything. And they're like, oh, back to the Apex. Okay. We talked to Pettis about the crowd as well. We were like, oh, how did you feel like fighting without a crowd? How did you feel fighting with a crowd? He loves the crowd. He's like, I need that crowd.
Big.
He's like, I love feeding off that energy. Completely changes it. Even Duke Rufus was saying he used to fight in Japan. And he's like, that's crazy when you fight in Japan and everyone's just respectful and everyone's silent till the round ends. And then they give you a little like smattering of applause. He's like,
they give you a golf clap at the end of the round.
Yeah. Which is true. If you watch the like old Pride fights, that's how they all, and that's how they are in professional wrestling too. Like if someone does a huge move, they'll all go, oh, and give like a little golf clap instead of like American fans are like, holy shit. You sick fuck. You sick fuck. Big UFC card, though, like we were saying. Arman versus Gamrot in the main event. That'll be a good fight. Arman's minus 275, I believe. I'm not looking at the Barstool Sportsbook because I'm not in a legal state right now. So my odds might be slightly off. Neil Magny in the co-main event. You got to love Neil Magny. He's a pretty heavy underdog, though. He's over plus 300. Thiago Moses is on this card. TJ Brown is on this card. Cody Durden. Chris Curtis returns on this card. Umar Nurmagomedov minus 900. What is he on the Barstool Sportsbook?
910.
910.
I mean,
910.
That's crazy. We were just talking about Umar. Ev, you were saying you're possibly playing the other side there.
I was saying off air, I'm a big Nate Maness guy, and even though there's a high chance that he just gets grapple fucked and submitted, I think they're putting Nate Maness at plus 560. I will say this, do a little fun fact. He's 3-0 in the UFC. All 3 fights he was an underdog. Getting him at plus 560 is probably a trap, but I'm here to say I'm going to walk into that trap. Not going to play it huge. Not going to play it huge. It's plus 560, but I mentally will have to put a little bit on just because I think he is a very talented fighter, and 560 is just an insane number.
I think if this fight happened 10 times, Umar may still, or Nate may still too. So that would make it a good bet.
I'm willing to play the fight. Like if it was like maybe like 300, I might say, but 560 is just a massive. Like Umar in this fight by submission is minus 115.
Yeah,
that's wild.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But I mean, listen, is that the most
UFC,
likely?
That's crazy.
Is that the most likely outcome? Like, I would say yes for sure, definitely.
Yeah.
Umar's a monster, no doubt. We talked about him in the last fight. We talked about him fighting like a Giannis or someone. And I would agree that that would be a massive problem for a striker like Adrian Giannis. But I don't know. Nate Maness is sneaky. Like, I think this is like at that price, I'm willing to take a shot. I'm willing to take a chance.
Logan DeWolf in the chat said, really would like to hear your opinion on Olberg and Nchukwi. I think Olberg is the underdog in this fight. Slight underdog.
Yep.
I like Olberg. He's a city kickboxing guy, good striker. Yep. I've always liked Olberg, so I would actually ride for him in this fight.
He's very talented. He comes out hot and he can fade a little bit. I've seen that happen. That was like when he fought Kennedy and Cheku. That kind of was what happened. But I don't hate this match. It's kind of an interesting matchup. If I remember it correctly, this is Nchukwi. That almost just threw me off. I was like, wait a second.
It's weird that he's fought two guys with almost the same name.
They're like they're very different body types.
Yeah, very different.
Like Nchukwi is very short and stocky, and Olberg's Olberg looks like a wide receiver. Like he's like long and athletic. Very kind of, but they are both strikers. Too. It's an interesting matchup. Like Olberg, I think Olberg should be able to stay on the outside and pick him apart. I think that's his path to victory here. So I do like Olberg. I'm not crazy about him, but not sure if I'm going to. I would say I probably will bet Olberg money line at least a little something.
So if you look at this fight against Nchukwi, right? He comes in, he's a massive favorite. Yeah. He I think almost sets a record for significant strikes thrown in the first round. He looked like the best fighter ever against Nchukwi. And then he just fades. And let's be honest, first fight in the UFC, a lot of hype because of that city kickboxing. Yep. He comes in, blows his cardio way too fast. And then his next fight, I think he takes it a lot more he took it he didn't come out of the gate as fast as he could, a lot more composed. And I think this fight will see another step forward in that composure from a cardio perspective. And then Nchukwi, who he's fighting this time, we saw not too long ago, he got knocked out by that a flying knee by the new
Morozov.
Yeah, and it was
what's his name?
Murzakanov.
He was a Contender Series guy, I remember. But also But he was losing that fight, actually, until he landed that knee.
Nchukwi was fighting very well.
He was.
And Nchukwi, I don't think really loses by knockout, except if there's a massive punch or knee thrown. I don't think Olberg's the one to do it. So if Olberg's going to win, I think he's winning by decision. I don't think he's knocking out Nchukwi. Now, Nchukwi may knock out Olberg, but if you're taking Olberg, which I will be doing, definitely by decision.
Yeah, I like that as well.
I don't hate that.
But Nchukwi's very interesting because how he fought against Murakanov, he looked really good.
He did in the first 2 rounds. I think he won the first 2 rounds, in my opinion.
Yeah. We were. If I remember right, Murzakanov was in our parlay.
He was.
And he was the first. He was the first leg of it, Lee.
Yeah.
We were in deep shit.
Yeah. I don't think for this fight. Nchukwi's from Team Lloyd Irvin, which is a mainly BJJ camp, right? I'm just saying, Nchukwi by submission is 18-1 plus 1800, and Olberg is not. Obviously, with city kickboxing, he is not a BJJ guy.
Yeah.
I you could do way worse on this card. You're taking an 18-1 flyer on this guy by submission, when he doesn't really get submissions, but works out of a BJJ camp. So I'm just saying it's there. I also agree with Jack, though. I think Olberg by decision is a very good one. Or, as shown last time, round 3. But I don't think Olberg would really have the cardio to sustain it for all 3 rounds. So I think Olberg by decision is probably a good bet, or just fight goes to decision.
What do you guys think about Brian Kelleher as an underdog on this card?
Ooh.
I don't like him.
Yeah.
You don't?
I came into this week thinking that I was going to like Kelleher in this fight as a dog. He came into the week like plus 110, and now he's up to like plus 130 range, plus 140.
Yeah. On the Barstool Sportsbook, minus 167. Batista, plus 134. Kelleher.
Yeah. So I think that Kelleher's only way is really to wrestle. And Bautista comes from MMA Lab in Arizona with Sean O'Malley's camp.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's a tough fight. I thought that I was gonna like Kelleher, but Bautista has like a seven-year age gap, more reach, taller. It's gonna be a tough one, I think, for Kelleher to win.
All right, fair enough. I like Boom Boom. I always try to root for him. What about Cody Durden as an underdog in this?
I like a nice bounce back spot here for him. But
I like Cody Durden,
Lee has a great play here. Lee, drop the stats.
Okay.
No. We talked about this last night, me and Lee. He's pulling it up now. He's got some good stats here, and I think people are going to be very interested in it.
Okay. So when JP Buys and Cody Durden win, their finish rate is at 92%. So they win. Their wins are combined 92% by finish. Their losses, they get finished in their losses 75% of the time.
Wow. So
if you take that into account, why the hell is fight doesn't go to decision minus 112 on the Barstool Sportsbook? It makes no sense. Well, like numbers wise.
Is JP Buys a wrestler too?
Yes.
So I guess if you were capping it from that perspective, you could see how they could just wrestle fuck each other for 3 rounds.
Yeah, but I think coming into this fight, I thought that Durden was going to be better than Bays in the wrestling because he got so many takedowns against Arichi Lang. But I think Bays is a better pure wrestler in this fight, and he's a much better submission artist, much better. I would lean Bays in this fight slightly. I wouldn't pick him though. But fight doesn't go to decision. I have to be on. Like that's I love
that.
Talk.
With those stats, it's undeniable.
Yeah, and they've lost like a good amount of times. It's not like it's just like they've lost 4 times combined and they got finished in 3 of them. No, it's been more. It's been way more than that. So I think fight doesn't go. You have to be on for this fight.
Fluffy Chris Curtis, you got to root for him in this fight, right? He's been through a lot personally. He's trying to rebound here. He is the favorite, slight favorite in this fight. Hopefully he gets the win, does another one of those flips.
What do you think, Ev?
With Chris Curtis?
Yeah, and it's an interesting fight.
I know. I'm such a big fan of his. I am worried about him getting submitted or something like that. I don't like. I'm rooting for him. I will say I've had multiple smart people kind of tell me they like Varela very much, which has been kind of interesting to me. That it's kind of like almost turned me off a little bit. But I mean, Curtis is kind of interesting guy. He's been this one. It's kind of now he's the favorite now. So I think he's kind of in this different spot where in his 2 previous fights, you were buying very low on him. He was the underdog in both fights, and he got big knockouts in both fights. We talked about, I think, maybe it was off camera, but in this first fight, it was the one to MSG, the Usman Covington too, where Hawes was picking him apart, and then he just landed a big shot and knocked him out. Brendan Allen, he just kind of the Brendan Allen performance was very impressive the way he just knocked him out like that. A guy, a much bigger middleweight than him, at least much taller.
Also, we got someone in our chat telling us we're a bunch of chalk parlay, chalk eaters, blah, blah, blah. How about betting on a dog for once last week? Literally bet on a dog last week. That was our
Also, we're
doing dogs today. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
Also, if you want to did he just tune in? Ev just gave out Nate Manis. Also, I'll give out Vanessa Dimopoulos.
Love her.
I think I'm going to take her for sure.
Me
also,
well, absolutely.
Yes, the parlay we put together for the Barstool Sportsbook is chalky. But if you listen to the
we're trying to give you better odds.
Boosted. And then, but if you watch the show, we give out other plays. Correct. It's not like, oh, this is our only play for the UFC card. So, I mean, I get
it. Oberg's a dog.
Yep.
Yeah, we love not all of us.
And I'm literally sitting here telling you how much as I like basically a roundabout way that I like Chris Curtis as a person. I'm very worried about him in this fight.
Yeah.
That I don't know if this is a good fight for him.
There's a great bet on the Barstool Sportsbook for this fight, and I think this is crazy. We know that Vieira gasses, right? We all remember the Fluffy Hernandez fight, the best submission of the year. In Fluffy Hernandez,
Wild.
30-1. Chris Curtis to win in round 3 or decision is plus 600. Chris Curtis is not usually a finisher. Like, he didn't come into the UFC like being known as like this knockout artist, like this and that. He was like a mostly like drag him out decision guy who was a gritty veteran. I think that Chris Curtis, like Vieira might have on him 40 pounds on fight night. He cuts a ton to get down.
And
to
when
85.
Vieira walks into that cage, you're like, oh my God, he's big.
He's huge. And Chris Curtis used to fight at 70, and he could still fight at 70, like without a doubt. No question. He just doesn't want to cut that much. And especially after you win by 2 knockouts at middleweight, why would you? But if Chris Curtis wins, I think it comes late, because he has to survive the early onslaught of Vieira and his wrestling and grappling and all that. But Vieira showed he can drag it out a little bit more against Stolfus in his last fight. So if Curtis wins, I think it's round 3 or decision plus 600. I think that's a great bet for this fight.
Interesting. I like that. We got some questions in the chat. Will Nate Diaz fight this summer? Who will he fight? My gut says no at this point. I hate to say that, but I feel like the answer is no.
It's a stalemate right now. It's just an absolute stalemate between him and the UFC.
It's also one of those things where we could hear tomorrow, like Nate Diaz has a fight booked, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess he's fighting. Sure. Kevin Holland, I do think like fits the Diaz criteria of like guys he's always like, oh, I want to fucking, face the best of the best. This guy sucks. That guy sucks. He doesn't want to accept fights. Like Kevin Holland wants to fight with anyone, so he fits the Diaz criteria.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right. So another question: what's on Barstool Idol? I thought the act did a very good job. Congrats to Caroline. Congrats to John Rich. I tweeted maybe Pup Punk could do female sung songs again. We got another female singer.
Oh wow, that's a really good point. I didn't think of that.
Selfishly, I was excited about that.
Caroline's awesome. Everyone in there was really awesome. Like, I was thinking if I had to do that, I wouldn't have even gotten to the preliminary rounds. But I did mention last week there was the MMA. There was somebody who does MMA coverage, and she was unfortunately the one that got eliminated by the wheel.
By the wheel.
So
I guess they say the wheel is just, though. We can't question the wheel.
Correct.
But if the wheel did not eliminate her, I think we would have had her on Spinning Backfist on Tuesday or whatever to see what she had. But unfortunately, I forget her name, to be honest. But
didn't learn.
Best of luck to her.
I don't know. Sorry.
But Barcelona, congrats to Caroline and John Rich, who got brought along, and I'm sure the other ones will continue in the Barstool universe.
Danny, she did a good job. Luke, he did a good job. Like, a lot of respect to them for doing that, because it's a tough thing. It's an anxiety chamber, pretty much. I called it, and it's one of those things where a lot of it is like going up to someone and being like, "Be funny, make me laugh." It's hard to do that, especially on short notice. So respect to everyone that actually competed in Barstool Idol.
For sure.
Yeah, the basketball game was just
unbelievable.
Jeff Nadeau taking the ball and just walking up the court with it was all time. Also, his whole thing where he was like guarding Ali, and then like Ali finally takes a shot and misses, and Jeff Nadeau is just like, "That was a bad idea for you." So funny. That made me laugh. Back to the UFC card though. What are the other fights we want to talk about on this card? The Neil Magny fight versus Shavkat.
Yep.
I think Shavkat's going to run over him, right? I mean, I like Neil Magny. I like him as a dog, but not against
Shavkat. Shavkat by finish. Yep. I think he's 15 for 15 and 15-0, 15 finishes.
Yeah.
I just think like if you're going to lay minus 480 on him versus a guy like Neil Magny, he's finished every fight. You can lay inside the distance. It's minus 140. I mean, I don't see the reason to lay minus 140. Minus 480 juice on him. I think he's a finisher. I'm a big fan of him. I've talked about him on previous episodes. I think he's kind of like a dark horse contender that He's almost like I don't know. I don't think he's quite as good as Hamzat, but I think he's kind of like a similar in the sense that he's a dark horse contender that I think if he could speak the language better, if he was a little more vocal and out there, I think would be probably ranked already and have a lot more buzz around him. He just speaks no English.
He would beat him. Magic thinks that Shavkat would beat Hamzat in a 5-round fight.
Interesting. I don't know about that. That's interesting. I am a big fan of Shavkat. I think I said on the show before I would not be shocked if in like
would beat
3 years down the road they were fighting in a title fight.
It's going to be awesome.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. That's a good point.
I think though that this line's a little out of proportion though. I would say that like minus 480 is a little steep for a guy that like a couple fights ago was just like a minus like 250 over Alex Oliveira, and now you're getting the minus 480 over a really good guy in Neil Magny.
And Magny's turned it on over his past few years.
Yeah, but like at the same time, like Magny, I think Max Griffin in his last fight, like that was not good. Like that, it wasn't a good performance by him. And I think Shavkat is going to win, but I don't think it should be this high. He can 100% cover the price tag, though. He could 100% go out there, get some clinch control, take him down. His ground and pound, Shavkat's ground and pound is like
Habib.
It is legitimately scary how much powerful he can get. It's not even like
dude, and that last fight, the Carlson Harris. Yeah. I mean, he like drops him with a spinning kick, and then just puts him out with standing ground and pound. It was like absolutely savage. He's a savage. Also, I will say just to back up quick the Oliveira thing, in terms of the price, that was his UFC debut. So throwing a guy, and also for Oliveira, that was a few losses ago. So that was kind of throwing him a killer, like right in his UFC debut, and he ran through him. So I'll just give him a little devil's advocate on that. But I agree with you. I think Magny's enough of a dog, and I'm saying underdog like betting, but just like a dog in general, that's definitely a big line for sure.
Against Harris, though, he was about the same price. Like he wasn't minus 500 about.
Yep. Harris also, I actually think Harris is actually very good.
I think so too.
I think Harris is like a very good young contender. He wasn't the first. What country? He's from like a crazy country. That's what it is. He's the first Guyana fighter in the UFC ever. I think he was like 2 or 3-0 in the UFC with some pretty impressive performances. So I don't take anything from Harris. I think that was actually a pretty impressive win by Shavkat.
He was on Dana White's looking
for a fight.
Yeah, in UAE.
For the fight. I remember when they found him.
Yeah,
because I remember he low key is kind of old.
Yeah, like, I think he's like 34. I think.
Yeah, I think he was like 33 when they found him, but he had a really good record and he was really impressive, and they gave him a shot, and he has performed very well in the UFC.
How's the parlay looking for this?
I was just about to say, we just got a well-timed text from the other Jack Mack being like, "Oh, send the picks when you got them." So let's look down the list and see what fights we like.
I do just want to say one more. I do want to say just real quick. I'm sorry. One more pick that I like straight up is Sergey Morozov as well.
I was just about to say, Ev.
He should have won his last fight. He was winning. He was winning like easily, like he was dominating, and then he just kind of got gassed. And then I will give a lot of credit to like it was Douglas. It was De Silva Andrade, right? Who he had the big comeback against him. And I don't give him a ton of credit because he was hurt very badly. He had some fucking dog in him and came back and was able to win that fight. That it was an all-time scrap. Really, I would advise anyone that's watching to go look it up on YouTube or something. Awesome fight. But I'm still high on Sergov. He's fighting Paiva, who the people remember, who was the guy. He actually was a very good fighter, but he got knocked out by Sugar Shaw in his last fight. And honestly, the fight, I believe it was the fight before that, I thought he got a decision against Kyler Phillips that he shouldn't have gotten, to be totally honest. But he is a solid fighter, but I think Sergey gets back on the right track here. I think he wins.
I think Morozov, if he didn't get finished like he did in that last fight against De Andrade, he'd probably be like a minus 225 instead of 155.
Agreed.
He's training at an ATT for this fight, or he has for a while. A bunch of the Kazakhs
I didn't realize
training there. So I think his wrestling is going to be too much. Also, Paiva he's a 25 fighter. He's not a 35er. He is a 25 that just can't consistently make weight, so they put him to 35. But he should be at 25.
Yep.
So looking down the list, who do we like as parlay pieces in this? Do we want to go main event? Do we want to go Shavkat's our main event? Do we want to put Arman in it? I feel comfortable putting Arman in it myself.
I do too. But I do too. I think he wins, but I don't think Arman should be this high of a favorite. Like, just throwing that out there. Like, he shouldn't be
Gamrot's
290 against. Yeah, Gamrot's really good. Gamrot, I think this is I think this is a top 5 matchup in the UFC right now.
Wow.
Instead of like a top 15 matchup. I think these are like number like 3 and number 5 guys in the world.
Wow. Okay, so Oliveira, Poirier,
Gaethje, Tsarukyan, Islam, Gamrot.
You put Tsarukyan ahead of Islam?
No, I was just naming names, but
McGregor's number 1, so.
Yeah.
So I'm very high at Tsarukyan. I don't know if I'm as high on Gamrot. I don't know if I'm quite. I think he's very good. I don't know if I'm sold on him top 5 yet. I think I need to see like a little more from him, because even his last fight, which is a very good win over Carlos Diego Ferreira kind of just like threw his arm out. Like, Gamrot was going to win that fight. I truly do believe that, but it was relatively competitive. And then Ferreira basically just like dislocated his shoulder, like just threw his arm out, and the fight just kind of ended. He kind of was like, Gamrot just kind of jumped up once if you remember, his arm just was like fucked.
It was,
and then Gamrot kind of was on his back, and then he kind of just was like,
it was his rib.
Ferreira was like, I'm done.
It was his rib when he kneed him in the side, on top. It was his rib that he like broke a couple ribs on that.
But knee. I thought he also there's something with his like he like threw his like shoulder at his arm.
Did he?
Out. I think I know he did catch it with a big body shot. You are right on that. Yeah. But I thought there was more to it, that he also had like a big like that there was something with like his arm that he like threw his like shoulder or something, and he kind of just was like, I'm good. It could have been just the ribs. Maybe I misread it.
Arman's fight against Joel Alvarez was so impressive to me.
Unbelievable.
I think Alvarez is like a legit top 15 guy, and to do him like that was super good.
That's what's you good, Robbie?
Yeah, I don't know why that happened.
But that's what's selling me on Tsarukyan is how impressive. I know Joel had that tough cut that really affected him in that fight, but I think what's selling me, I was so high on Alvarez going in that fight, and Tsarukyan looked minus 500, minus 6, even more.
Oh god, yeah.
So but Gamrot, like what Robbie said, is a killer. But I will definitely have Tsarukyan in some parlays this
I agree
on this weekend. So I would feel safe putting him in the Spinning Backfist parlay.
I do too.
I like that.
I would as well.
We're putting Shavkat in there, I assume.
Yeah, I'm down to put him in Shavkat.
Umar, or is he too big a favorite where he's not even going to help us there?
I just think 900, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze.
It's not going to help us. Yeah,
like he's barely even adding to the parlay. One person I was going to say, I would put TJ Brown in it.
I agree, Ev.
I'd like that.
I would put TJ Brown.
I like TJ Brown.
So honestly,
he's facing just a Chinese
what are those
guy
three
that knows how to wrestle. He knows
how to wrestle. We need a win. We need to win bad.
True.
We need a fucking win.
Okay,
those three puts us at 138. Maybe we do one more. There's one more that we like.
Thiago.
So what do you guys think about Thiago Moises? We didn't talk about that fight at all. No, you don't like it, Lee? I'm just not. For me, it's more. I'm just not crazy about Giagos.
I think both of them has faced insane competition for like how like many fights they've been in the UFC. Like Moises has only faced killers so far.
He has,
like
for sure.
8 fights, and his strength of schedule is crazy. I think he should beat Giagos, but Giagos at the same time packs a big punch, and he actually landed on Tsarukyan pretty good in their fight before Tsarukyan knocked him out. So I think he has a little bit of a weak chin, but I don't don't think 265 is what this fight should be. I think this is more like Thiago Moises like minus 170.
We do, all three of us, and I even asked Robbie about it, but I know you two talked about it earlier. I like him too. Could put Morozov.
That's what I was just going to suggest. That was going to be my next suggestion.
And that would probably put us to like 250 or so.
Those four, that gets us, 294. I like that. I'd be comfortable with those four.
I like that.
So that should get us close to 350 probably with a boost.
All right,
definitely over 300.
I'm going to text Jack right now.
So you have Morozov, TJ Brown, Shavkat, and Tsarukyan.
Morozov, TJ Brown, Shavkat,
and you can say Rakhmonov. And
oh, now this guy's saying Thiago's winning. This guy's a chalk eater himself.
Oh, the chalk eater that was calling, or the guy who's calling us chalk eater is a chalk eater himself.
This guy crushed up the chalk that we were eating and he snorted it.
He's a chalk. Careful, Robbie. You're right near John Jones.
Yeah.
He's in this hotel.
He's recovered. He's recovered. Anyways,
what's up with Kelly in Vegas? He's a chalk eating weasel.
Yep.
Shavkat and then Tsarukyan. All right, it's gonna be on the bar.
I like that parlay.
Pretty soon.
I know. I've said that about literally every single one we played. I really like this one.
I really like it as well.
I really like it. I really like it.
So tune in. Tons of great fights this weekend. PFL, Bellator, and UFC. It's a great weekend to be an MMA fan. Even if you're not an MMA fan, you're listening to this for the first time, tune in. This weekend can make you an MMA fan. PFL tonight on ESPN Plus. You'll see me and Big Ev in the crowd rooting on.
And then it's on the main card is on ESPN at 8.
Straight up ESPN, yeah. ESPN 8 p.m.
Big time.
Tune in.
The production looks fucking
awesome.
It's going to be great fights.
Yeah, so I can't wait. Thank you to everyone for tuning in to the Spinnin Backfist Show today, and we will see you next week to recap all these great fights.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.